Hey y'all, we're in the kitchen with Brooke, and today I want to show you how to make a pumpkin butter cake, also known as ooey gooey butter cake. So there are so many variations to this recipe, but my favorite is the pumpkin, and this is the perfect season to get out your pumpkin, right? And so today, I've already gotten started here. I laid out my ingredients for y'all to see. We started off with 1 egg and 1 whole stick of butter, and I have melted them. Now I just did this so you could see I've already made the crust part, so I just wanted you to be able to see what's in it and what I've done so far. So all I did is I had a box of cake mix, just a regular box of cake mix. I actually used like a generic brand, and the one that I use comes from Aldi, and I'm not trying to plug Aldi, but it's my favorite one actually. So anyway, I used just a regular vanilla cake mix for the pumpkin. Now you can use any kind of cake mix you wanted if you were going to jazz it up. You could use a chocolate cake mix. I think that would be really good with pumpkin. But today we just did a regular vanilla cake mix. And so all I did was I dumped my cake mix in, and I put my stick of softened butter and 1 egg. And I just mashed it with my hands. I didn't use a mixer or anything. I just used the tools that God gave me. And it works out really good. And so what you want is this consistency. Now it's not going to look like a cake mix does, because it's much, much thicker. This is a crust, not a cake mix. So this is what's going to go on the bottom. So then all we're going to do is just scrape it out of the bowl there. And I sprayed my 13 by 9 dish. A lot of people say you don't have to because this has a whole stick of butter in it, but I always do. I just do because I don't want to fight with butter cake not coming out. So we're just going to smash it in, and you're going to make like a crust. And it is gooey, so you want to start with a clean hands. So you're just going to smash this all the way in. And sometimes it gets too thick in one place, so you just take the palm of your hand and kind of go in there and kind of push it out, because you want it to stretch across the whole pan. What I love about this too is there's no perfection in this. I am definitely a perfectionist when it comes in the kitchen. I like to do things where it looks pretty and uniform size, but in this dish, there's no perfection to it. It's nothing. It's going to look the same, and it's going to taste even better. Got a little bit on me there. Okay. So then that's what you want right there. And that's your crust. And then we're going to move on into the your filling. So we'll be right back. Okay, so I just rinsed my bowl and got it all nice and clean for the filling mix. So, and I forgot to tell y'all, let me just slow it down, because sometimes I just get in this kitchen and I just get in a rush when I'm doing a video. I don't know why, but I do. I feel like I got to talk like Speedy Gonzales. So this recipe was inspired by Miss Caitlin and Savannah, because they love my butter cakes. And this is an old recipe. It's not my recipe. It's just one that has been passed down through the years. My mother used to make it for us when we were going on trips when I was a little girl, and it's so special to me. And so I love to make it and give it to people. So this week I'm going to be taking half of this to a couple of people, and Miss Caitlin will make sure you get some. But Caitlin loves it, and I love Caitlin, so this is dedicated to you ladies. So then the second part is the filling. And so for the filling, I just have a package of cream cheese. Again, the brand doesn't matter. I do like to use the full fat. I think it tastes better. So if you don't, use the less fat, the third less fat, or whatever it is. So we're just going to take the cream cheese. I didn't want to act right, like my children sometimes. Just kidding. I'm really not. So anyway, you're going to put your softened cream cheese in there. And then I like to mix my cream cheese and butter. I like to mix them together and get them nice and fluffy. So it's just going to go down, and then I'm going to just scrape the rest there. There's right much left on that paper, and we got to make sure we get all that butter. Because butter makes everything better, right? All right, so then we're going to just take this. over here to the mixer. And you want to mix it until it's nice and fluffy. So I'm going to mix it up and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. So now we've just got the cream cheese and the butter all mixed up, beaten together. And so then I'm going to take 2 eggs and crack them in. You're going to mix that up. Start it slow because you don't want a catastrophe of cream cheese everywhere. So you want that to mix in. You may have to stop and just scrape down your sides, just like if you were making a cheesecake. Just scrape down your mixer. And just let it go and mix well. So we'll be right back with the next step. Okay, so then we've got that mixed up, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like a cheesecake batter, really. And so then we're going to add, now I have a 32-ounce bag of confectioner sugar, so I'm going to use about half of it. And again, if it's not exactly half, it's okay. A little sugar. Never hurt anybody. And let me tell you something. I'm all about healthy eating. We have changed the way we're eating. But when you're making this, you're not concerned about the calories. It's not going to be one of the lighter dishes that you're going to want to eat. So this is definitely for a special occasion. And so enjoy it when you get to eat it. Just make it full of fat and make it good and put your love in it and you're going to be all right. So we're going to start this slow because of the powdered sugar. You will have a snowstorm if you don't. So we don't want that. So we're just going to start off really slow and mix it until that is well incorporated. So now we've got it mixed up and it looks like this. It still looks like a cheesecake batter there, more at this point than it did before. So you just want to make sure that there's no lumps in it because it'll be really lumpy after you make it. And then I have here, I'm just going big I guess today. This is a big can of pumpkin pie mix. Now, I usually use just plain pumpkin because it has plenty of sugar, but this is what I had on hand, and I wanted to make this for you today. So I'm going to use about half, and again, it's okay. If you get a little more than half, it's all right. So I'm just going to dump that right in. And then the rest of this, I'm just going to put it over here in this container and stick it in my refrigerator and make some pumpkin muffins for my family this week to have, because my husband loves a muffin in the morning with his coffee. So I don't make them too often because they are fattening, but every once in a while I like to surprise him and have something he likes on hand. So we're just going to put that there for now. And let me see here. Let me put this over here and stick that over here. And so we got our pumpkin in there, and we're going to mix that real well. And you may need to stop and scrape down the sides on that because it really does need to be incorporated. Some of your cheese mixture will get stuck on your sides and the bottom. Let's see if you can see mine, how it did. There's like chunks of cream cheese. We want it incorporated really good. Okay, and then just a splash there of vanilla. Mix that up. I'll give it one more scrape down just to make sure I've got it really incorporated here. And then we're going to mix it. And we're ready to go. Okay, so we're just going to pour our filling right over. You don't want to scrape too hard because if you can see there's a chunk that didn't get mixed in well, so we'll just leave that in the bottom of that. We'll just kind of scrape out the rest. Okay, so that's good enough. So then, the other thing is I just want to even it out a little bit, and I tap it just a couple times, and it'll release the air bubbles. They'll kind of come up, so you won't have little craters in it. And so then we're just going to stick this in the oven. And I did not mention in the beginning, I don't think, that I had preset my oven to 375 before I even got started so that it'd be ready. So now it's on 375 and it's hot and it's ready. And I'm going to stick it in there for about 35 to 45 minutes, depending on your oven. So you just kind of have to keep a watch for it. And I'll make sure that this is timed and I'll let you know. So I'm going to bake this off and then we're going to come back and see what it looks like when it's done. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the finished product and I just pulled it out of the oven and it took right at 45 minutes. So you don't want to cook it any longer than that. But here is the secret to ooey gooey butter cake or butter cake. And this is where so many people mess up because it's so easy. It really is. But if you don't do this last step, it just really will not turn out well. So what I do is you let this come to a complete coolness. You don't want this to be warm at all. So I like to actually serve it the very next day because it's had a chance to refrigerate overnight and be cooled completely. It's like a cheesecake. If you make a cheesecake, it's so much better the next day after it sits all night. And so this is kind of the same. However, you don't have to really wait all night, but I like to. So it needs to cool because the texture will be kind of spongy if you cut it while it's hot. So make sure you cool your butter cake, and you want it to actually jiggle just a little bit because it's ooey gooey butter cake, right? And it's not supposed to be like cake. And so as you can see, it kind of jiggles. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, it has a little jiggle to it. And so that's what you want it to be like. You want it to cool and you want it to be kind of gooey when you cut into it like a gooey bar. And so that is ooey gooey pumpkin butter cake for now. And so I wanted to tell you too, for Christmas I like to do a red velvet one. And so the only thing different is I leave out the pumpkin and I use a red velvet cake mix for the bottom. And you play with it, you make your own recipes, you make your own combinations. It's a wonderful thing for creativity because you can get so creative with this. So thanks y'all, and we'll be back real soon with another goodie from my kitchen. Bye-bye.